If you're fortunate enough to have a lot more than other people do, and you're going into a divorce, you may be very concerned about the financial impact that this divorce is going to cost you when you're a high net worth individual. Certainly, it is something to take into consideration because there may be businesses or homes or retirement accounts or other investments to divide that a lot of people may not have to deal with. And when you do, you need somebody to represent you who has experience handling those kind of cases and who is willing to do all the discovery and make sure that all the information that's needed to prove what is there, who did what, and who should deserve what is presented to the court. It's very important that we work together with you to build all this process through your divorce through discovery to make sure that all the facts are known, there's no surprises, and we protect as much of your financial well-being as possible in your divorce case. When you're fortunate enough to be a high net worth individual in Alabama and you're going into a divorce, you may be worried about how we divide your financial assets in a complex divorce like this. The truth is, just like any other case, it's a piece-by-piece process we're going to go through. So we don't want to get distracted by the big picture, but we need to really look at everything that's there. And whether you have a gun collection, whether you've got some family land with a lot of timber on it that needs to be divided up, whether you have other things that have been in your family for years, or maybe it's something you and your spouse have built this business and you have all these parts of your business that are very valuable, but other people may not understand. We need to take a piece-by-piece approach to your divorce, just like we would any other divorce, and make sure that everything that's there is valued, is appraised if necessary, so that when we go to court, we're able to lay out kind of on a blackboard in an old-fashioned style, Judge, this is what's here, here's what's worth, here's the input that each spouse had into this, and here's how we're asking the court to divide that. It's not complicated. It may be complex, but it doesn't have to be complicated. We can take care of it when we take a methodical approach to it and work through it with you to make sure that everything you want divided is appropriately handled in the best way for you and your family. In Alabama, you may wonder, when child support is calculated, how do they even come up with these numbers? You hear about basic obligations, you hear about guidelines. What does all this mean? So Alabama has a schedule of obligations that says what your family income is between both parents and the number of children you have, and it kind of divides up and figures out under this magical formula what your child support obligation should be. Although the actual guidelines kind of cap out at around $30,000 of combined family income per month, really that's going to get around to where you're figuring out, okay, as a higher net worth individual, what is my child support going to be if I'm over that guideline? And certainly that could happen to some people. Not a lot of people, but it does happen to some people. And when you get there, we get beyond the schedule of basic obligations where the judge really is going to have discretion at that point about how much your child support should be. Certainly it won't be less than the guidelines, but it could be on that number, it could be a higher number, depending on what your ability to pay, what the needs of your children are. And really, the honest truth is, the judge in all these courts have the ability to make fair and equitable decisions. And when they're doing that, that could be something you love or you don't love, but as long as you're under those, the cap of $30,000 a month that's there in the basic obligations at least, when you look at those numbers, the judge really doesn't have much discretion when it comes to child support. If that's what the number says, the judge only in very limited instances could ever make you pay more than that. So don't be afraid of child support. Just know your children deserve it. It's going to be used to take care of them, and you have the obligation to support them. So when you do, let's be thankful we have guidelines that tell us what we're going to pay rather than having a mystery when we go into court. At any income level, I know the person who pays child support really wants to know what the other parent is even doing with what they consider to be their child support. Well, obviously, under the law, the child support is an obligation to your children. It's not like income to the other parent, but I know it feels that way. But especially if you're a high net worth individual and you're paying thousands of dollars per month in child support, you might feel like you should be entitled to a receipt, or you should be able to know what the parent's spending the money on. The truth is, under the law, you don't have the ability or the right to ask those questions. You don't get a receipt for the payments, at least for what they spend the money on, I mean. And as long as it's being used to take care of the home and keep gas in the car and keep food in the refrigerator, the receiving parent is able to use that child support for almost anything that can be tied to the well-being of your children. And so, although you may want to get proof of, they're putting this in a savings account for my child, or they're using this to take the child on vacation, no. As long as they're using it for the general benefit of the children, that's legitimate use for your child support. And I would encourage you, just know, keep in mind, it's for the children, not for the ex-spouse. And the law allows them to get that money and spend whatever they need to in order to take care of my children. As you're facing a high net worth divorce because you're fortunate enough to have more than a lot of people have, you need someone who's going to help you through this case that's been there before, that knows how to walk through this intricate process to take a step-by-step approach to getting you all the relief that you need from the court. Call us today. We're happy to talk with you about your options and explore what you can do to get the best outcome for your divorce case that you can.